What's up, everyone? Welcome to HiFi Turtle, where we talk about everything audio. I'm fresh off of the Axpona 2022 show, and the show was great, and you can see my full coverage in another video, but one of the things that was very controversial and highly talked about at the show was the TigerFox 360 audio enclosure. This is a very interesting device. It comes in at $479 plus shipping. I was told that there is free shipping, but it was expiring very soon after the show, so I'm not sure if that's still available. But a very interesting audio device, audio accessory, audio room simulation thing. Hard to describe what it is. I'm just going to call it an audio enclosure. But without further ado, let's get to it. I'm going to be talking about my thoughts on the TigerFox 360 audio enclosure. Stay tuned. All right, what is the TigerFox 360 audio enclosure? Well, it is a vinyl mass-loaded enclosure that wraps up into almost kind of a yoga mat look, but a very tall yoga mat at that. And you unfold this thing and you surround yourself with the wall of the enclosure. There's a mat to tell you where to line up the wall. And then there's also an area where you're supposed to put a chair or stool or whatever you're going to be sitting on when you're listening. And then two red dots to the left and right of you, which tell you where to position your ears in order to get the full immersive 360-degree experience. So what are you supposed to get out of this TigerFox enclosure? Well, one of the very bold first claims they make is that their enclosure with relatively cheap setups can compete with those that cost $100,000 or more. They also claim that the immersive effect of the device is better than traditional surround sound or headphone setups, and that this level of immersion gives you an advantage where positional detection and knowledge is key to success and victory and performance in gaming. So how does TigerFox actually achieve what it sets out to do? Well, the enclosure that you sit in is this vinyl mass loaded wall, and you sit down in the area that you're supposed to be in and have a pair of speakers in front of you in a near field position. When those speakers are playing, they emanate the sound all around, and this bounces off all of the walls within the enclosure and then is supposed to bounce back to your ears perfectly to give you a total immersive 360-degree experience where you not only have a left and right channel with just the speakers that you started out with, but now have almost infinite positional knowledge when it comes to listening to music, movies, or games. For the demonstration at Axpona, they had a relatively cheap setup in the form of a pair of JBL 305P MK2 speakers. They're about $300, and that was connected to an AudioQuest Dragonfly Red, which is about $200. So $500 or thereabout all in before you add the TigerFox 360 enclosure. Once you add that, you're looking at closer to $1,000. So going into the demo, they had you fill out a sheet with about 20 songs on it that you could choose from to listen to during the demo. And I did enjoy that they had some very contemporary choices, such as Sunflower from Post Malone, which is one of the ones that I ended up choosing to listen to. And sitting down in the enclosure on the chair that they had, they told me that I needed to slouch down a bit because I was a little too tall. Now, I'm only 5'10", so the chair was a normal chair, so you might need something even smaller if you're a really large person. Because I really wouldn't want to listen to music for very long, slouched down as much as I was in that chair. Then to position my ears to the red dots on the left and right, they had me lean forward, lean back, and get to a point where I felt like I was in the sweet spot. And there's definitely a very large variance in the sound depending how far forward and how far back I was in the enclosure. And yeah, once we did get down and start listening to the music, there is a very immersive effect that goes into the TigerFox experience. There is information or sound coming from behind you that you probably typically would not hear in a traditional two-channel setup. It is a very cool effect, although I will say it kind of almost sounded a little bit like a comb filter was put on the music, but it wasn't unclear or distorted or mess with the music in any sort of way. Overall, a very interesting experience that did present the music in 360 degrees, as the name suggests. Now let's get to the meat and potatoes. TigerFox says that this setup that was on display can compete with $100,000 traditional hi-fi setups. I do not believe that is the case at all. Listening to that setup, I could very easily tell that the speakers in front of me were nothing special. It was not something that was over the top, resolute, clear, on the level of a $100,000, or I would say even something that would cost $3,000 or more. We weren't even approaching that as far as quality of sound was concerned. If you want to argue sound staging and imaging, that's a whole nother ball game, because this was very different. The imaging and the fact that you do get a lot of positional information from behind you is unlike any other two-channel setup I've ever heard. I have heard some surround setups where, yeah, that's very similar to surround, but in a traditional two-channel sense, I don't think you can exactly get that without doing something funky in your room or standing somewhere kind of weird in your room or doing something kind of funky with your speakers. But being that it was so near field as well, I didn't feel like there was a good sense of instrument placement when it came to the music as well. It wasn't like there was this sound stage where it could pick out where instruments were coming from, because it really was coming to me at all angles surrounding me in 360, to where I really couldn't pick out, hey, is the drum kit over here or is it over there? Well, it kind of sounds like it's over here, but it might be actually right over there. Which brings me to the next TigerFox claim, that this is better than traditional surround and gives advantages when it comes to gaming in the form of positioning. Now, in a traditional surround setup, you have a dedicated channel for different areas of the room. You have front, left, right, center, rear, left, right, and then a number of subwoofers. That's a very basic surround sound setup. You can go even further and have more rears, more sides, heights. There's an almost unlimited number of speakers that you can put in a room to create this surround effect. But a very traditional surround sound setup is the 5.1 channel setup. And here's my problem with the second claim of TigerFox, which is the positional claim. Because in a 5.1 home theater setup, where you would have an AV processor and a cable and source that is putting through 5.1 or more channels of audio, the TigerFox enclosure does not have the ability to process or create additional channels. It is only a left and a right channel, but is giving the illusion of additional channels. There is no positional data that is being processed by a receiver and then pumped into the correct audio channel. It is just a summation of all the reflections coming to you at the ears at the same time. So as far as positional accuracy and being able to tell where something is coming from, down to playing a game like Overwatch, Fortnite, or Call of Duty and being able to definitively say that someone is coming up from behind you, I don't think is possible. I wish they had a demo of gaming where I could better assess this, but in just my own thinking, I don't see how you can get a good positional image of that without having dedicated channels and information being processed. All right, so what's the deal? What's my final thoughts on the TigerFox 360 enclosure? There are some very hyped up and overinflated marketing claims when it comes to this device. Now, that being said, it does create a very interesting 360-degree audio experience. So for some people, I can see the $479 entry price being very attractive and wanting to experience this, maybe not all the time, but having the flexibility to pack this thing up into its compact form and putting it off to the side when you don't, and unfolding it and setting it up very easily when you do. As for myself, I really can't see myself ordering one of these because I don't see it as much as audio truth as it is just an audio effect. And while I do think it was kind of cool and definitely gave me a very interesting immersive experience to the music that we did experience during the demo, it's just not something that I'm willing to plunk down $479 for. So that's going to do it for me. Those are my thoughts on the TigerFox 360 audio enclosure. If you want to see more coverage from the Axpona 2022 show, check out the video recap on my channel. Make sure to like and subscribe. It really helps me out. Check the links below in the description for other ways to help support the channel, and I'll see you in the next one.